Good afternoon, everyone. We're glad to have you for our Lost Skills this month, and we are doing something special. We're going to make some natural soap, and if this is the first time some people have seen it online or anything, we just want you to know the Lost Skills is a monthly program that we have different topics that we do, and our whole goal is to help people be a little bit more sustainable and, do things for themselves that there's a lot of things we can make for ourselves. We've been so dependent on the grocery store, haven't we? And some of these things are more healthful for us, so we'll talk about how this might be a little bit more healthful for some people too. So first of all, we want to start off with prayer because we need God's guidance today. Dear Father in heaven, we thank you so much for your love to each one of us. We thank you that you have given us the ability to learn new things, and I ask that you will help us as we demonstrate making soap today. Give us wisdom, give us safety, and the words that we need to say to be able to make things clear for people. Thank you so much for your love, and actually thank you for the way you created the world, and everything works together, and we're going to see some of those processes today. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Okay, so let's say, why do we make soap? Why do we want to make soap? One of the benefits of making soap is that the soap that we are making can be a better moisturizer than the regular soaps. Most of your soaps have a lot of chemicals in them and things like that, and some of them can be drying, even though they say that they might give you some, be moisturizing. We're using oils and solid fats and stuff like that, and those will help with the moisturizing. Again, they're free of harsh chemicals. They're made without the sulfates, the parabens, and the phthalates that are common in commercial soaps, and they're irritating to the skin. So this is better because of that. You can customize this, and we'll be talking about how you can customize it. And also it's environmentally friendly. So the things that we make are things that really, they're not so much chemicals. One of them is lye that we're going to be using, but that's from wood ash. So
And it will change.
Yes.
It'll be neutral.
It'll be neutralized and all that. So all of this is stuff that, and in fact, when we get to the lye part, I was reading the history of soap making, and the first person who apparently discovered it, it was that water was dripping through some wood ash. And underneath was some kind of oil or fat or something or other. And then they found that using that cleaned them up better. So it was, it's a natural reaction in nature too. So, okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Melody is going to be working with me. And one of the things, we're going to be working with lye. And we want to make sure that we use personal and I don't know
protection, yes.
Yeah, personal protection for all this stuff. So we're going to be using gloves and goggles.
So this is going to create a when water touches this or anything liquid, in this case goat's milk, it's going to get really hot. So
Right.
It's a chemical reaction, and then it's not good to breathe either. So we're going to do it over here by the window.
Right,
And
right.
So you always want to be careful if you do this on your own.
So our first procedure is going to be to measure all of our
Did you want to tell them about the
things?
difference
Yes,
between 100%
yes.
versus?
Yeah, I'll tell them while you're
Okay.
measuring it, okay?
So go ahead.
So she's going to be measuring 107 grams of sodium hydroxide. What is sodium hydroxide? Again, that is lye, and
Does this
but
come on?
you put 107 grams.
It's not coming on.
Well, it worked earlier.
Does it need a firmer surface?
Don't tell me that all of a sudden.
I did bring mine in
yeah.
case you need it.
Of course, the battery has to go out, right, or something?
And I brought mine too, but we can try this one.
Okay. We have two more.
We have another one too if we need it.
Okay.
Oh, did you change it?
Okay, that's
Oh,
fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Alright.
Luckily, we brought backups. Okay. 107 grams. Now, lye, you can, sodium hydroxide. I went to the hardware store. You can get it at the hardware store, supposedly. And I kept telling them, I'm doing soap making. They gave me Drano. I'm like, what? Well, sodium hydroxide, it is, this one we got at Walmart. But Drano has sodium hydroxide, sodium chloride, and sodium stearate. So we discovered we didn't want that.
You don't want the chloride. That'll
No.
potentially hurt your skin.
So we went looking, and we found this. It's called Crystal Lye Drain Opener. It contains only sodium hydroxide. Okay? And then in listening to some YouTube things and stuff like that, what I found out is that sodium hydroxide, we're going to be putting it with a liquid. And that liquid is the carrier for the sodium hydroxide. The sodium hydroxide causes the chemical reactions. Soap making is chemistry, okay? Sodium hydroxide, 107 grams, causes the chemical reaction, and then we'll be talking about curing. Go ahead with that. I'll talk about it in a minute. Then we'll be doing the curing, and the curing helps evaporate the liquid. After we've made it, it evaporates the liquid. So then there's no sodium hydroxide there, So if you get plain sodium hydroxide, that's good. We're using goat's milk follow along with your recipe. You can use either distilled water or goat's milk or half of each. It's on the first page, I believe, for you guys. It says under materials, middle of the page, of the first page. And it says for the lye solution, we did the 107 grams of sodium hydroxide. Now, we have done this recipe with just distilled water. So we used 200 grams of distilled water. Then we did it again with just 200 grams of goat's milk. So you can do either all distilled water or all goat's milk, or you can use 100 grams of distilled water and 100 grams of goat's milk. So you can make it either all water or all goat's milk, or you can make it half of each. And we kind of like the goat's milk. And the goat's milk can be a little bit more
moisturizing for the skin.
moisturizing too.
All right. you want me to do? How
Okay,
many?
now we're doing,
We did 200 grams of this.
yeah.
So it's about 202.
Yeah, we did 200 grams of the
That's what I
goat's
did.
milk. Okay, now we're doing 350 under solid oils. Solid oils. Another option is you can use, to make it more simple so you don't have to buy shea butter too, we are just using coconut oil. Okay, that's a solid. And we are using 350 grams. So you can either divide it with two different kinds of fat, solid fat, or solid oil, or you can use all one kind, especially coconut oil.
So how much you wanted me to do?
300,
350?
yeah, 350.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, we got this recipe. I want to give credit where credit is due. Katie Bowers was supposed to do this this program, but she had a very important family gathering that came up just like that in Turkey. So she taught us how to do it, and this is our third time of doing it, and we watched her do it. The second time we did it ourselves, and now we're teaching it. Okay.
Okay, probably good enough right there. It's like a little bit over.
Okay. And we found it was really important to try to get these things. You can leave that in here if you want.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and put it into here.
Oh,
next,
okay.
right?
Yeah.
Get it
We
going.
thought it was important to have these things measured ahead of time so that we could keep our sequence pretty fast, you know, of the things that we were doing. And it's hard to get it. It doesn't have to be right on, but you can get it as.
And you have to realize that there'll be some loss when you go between containers.
Right, right.
How many were you doing of the olive oil?
We're doing 450 grams of olive oil. Now, I did have castor oil, but because we know it worked the way we did it the last time with all olive oil, we chose to do that tonight. But I would try the castor oil because I found in one of the videos I was watching that they said castor oil, no, I think it was something I read, castor oil helps with the lather, okay? So you might want to try the castor oil too. And that's pretty easy to find, you know, at Walmart and stuff like that. Okay, so
we leave that
we're
with
going to, yeah, go ahead. Now, she's going to have Ruthann.
There's hot water going to go in the bottom.
Yeah, she's going to put hot water in the double boiler. Have you seen a double boiler? I think hopefully everybody has. And then we put hot water in the bottom, and then that melts the other. If we're doing that right now, Melody, we better, and we have time to
Do the chemical
do
reaction?
the oil. Let's do put the sodium hydroxide in that. Now
this is important.
This is very important. When you put liquid into sodium hydroxide, it starts heating up right away. So you have to put your sodium hydroxide powder into the liquid. You don't want to pour the liquid into the powder because then it could explode like, you know. So this is chemistry, ladies and gentlemen. And so she is going to put the sodium hydroxide into, let's see, can you see her that way, or did she need to stand on the other side? Can you stand? Yeah.
Sure. And so we've got the window open and we've got a fan blowing because if you were standing here All it's doing is it's going to get super hot. It's going to go like past 180 degrees, and it will have an acrid. It would like almost feel like it's burning the back of your throat if you were directly breathing it in. So
Yeah.
I always hold my breath a little bit too, but that fan's a big help.
Yeah. So she's putting that in. And what we found also with the goat's milk, kind of turns an orange. And you kind of wonder, but you'll see the final result, and it really turns out pretty nice. So she's just stirring it a little bit. You see how it's getting orange, and it is
Getting very hot.
yeah, getting very, very hot. And we'll check those temperatures in just a minute. I will. Or do you want to check them right now?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
Actually, we're not in a rush unless you just want to show it's over 180.
Yeah, it's usually over 180.
It's a little bit stinky. I don't know if you can smell it, but with that blowing, hopefully not.
Right. Okay, while she's doing that, I'm going to go ahead. Where did that bowl go that you had for? Oh, here. Oh, that's in it. Oh, here. I'm going to go ahead and use this. I'm going to start measuring.
You can leave that.
Okay, just take it off the
You
burner.
could probably just turn it up. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's so hot out, you know, that it's half melted anyway.
Get out of the way.
Okay, let's do the oil. We need.
I have to clear when you put. I don't know if anybody of you used the digital scales before, but you have to zero them out with a dish on it, so it starts at 0 here. Otherwise, it'll include the weight of the dish, and you don't want that. So right now, I'm looking at it. It says 1, so I know I have to tear it. You know, I have to reset it to 0. Then I have to make sure it's on grams because it'll go between ounces and grams and milligrams and other things.
Right. We're sticking to grams. You can try to do it in ounces, but it's hard to measure 7.05 ounces of something, you know, of a liquid.
450?
450. So it's easier to stick with grams. Almost there. We're 445. Nope. Okay, that's okay. We're 453.
You want me to get that out of there? I can do that real quick.
Okay.
Clean spoon.
She's going to try to get that. Now, what we're going to do now, we're at the point that we need to be measuring our temperatures. Ruth Ann, why don't you go ahead and bring that over here, and we'll try to manage it from here. I'm going to check the temperature of this, put it on the, on the hot pad. Okay, I'm going to check the temperature, and this is kind of.
You have to make sure that you put it.
I'm going to stir it because it was kind of up on top. Here, come on this side. Okay. So she's going to measure it. We try to have it kind of the tip of the thermometer in the middle of the mass, you know.
It's like 197 right now.
197, wow. Okay. So that's going to have to come down.
It varies a little bit. You got to give it a few seconds to find its
Now, if
base.
you can look on the second page, it says to pour the lye into the distilled water or the liquid, which we used goat's milk. Now, that's the top part of the second page, and it said to let it cool to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. That's what Katie had. These instructions are from her. We actually had a failure with Katie because we were trying to what we're trying to do is bring the lye down to a temperature.
Same temperature.
At the same time as this, the lye mixture with the liquid. We're bringing it down to the same temperature as the solid and the oil.
Do you want me
we'll
to put
do
that in
that.
there?
No, because that'll cool it off too much. let's measure it because measure the temperature.
Well, yeah, but it's gonna all have to be there, right?
That's true, but we
So-
may have to heat this up. Okay,
Okay,
before we pour all the oils into the lye, or the lye into the oils, we have to have the temperature of each type of liquid within 5 degrees.
or they won't combine well.
And in our research, after the one failure, we found out it's better somewhere between 120 and 130. Okay, so write that down where it says 100 degrees.
So,
The lye, you were going to cool to 100 degrees. It should be between 120 and 130. Okay? And we found that worked a lot better.
it's possible there was something else too. We might have had the ratios off, or we might have not gotten the temperature exactly right with the other. But when we were reading more on soap making from some others, they were saying that quite a bit. So we thought, well, let's try it. And since it worked,
It worked. We're sticking
we're
with
sticking
it.
with it for now.
Okay, so we had this. This one is at 189 right now.
Here we don't want
And-
to drift that across the floor.
Ruth Ann, can you turn that, put it on the high, which would be the darkest, the fan. The
Yeah, let me
darkest
scrape
button,
that
I
off a
believe.
little bit. And I'll just
Okay, now we're going to measure. We poured the olive oil in with the coconut oil, and
This is
we're
like,
measuring the
yeah,
temperature.
we're gonna have to take this up. This is like 112, 113. It's going up. So we should probably take it back over there.
Yeah. See, we had coconut oil. We didn't have to heat it very long, and so
It melts pretty easily.
it melted pretty easily, and so it's not going to be nearly as high as this one. So we're going to put it back on the stove for a little bit to kind of try to bring it up closer to the temperature of the lye.
Let's go
And
ahead
then
turn it
we'll
on.
watch them and try to
We just have to catch it
bring
before-
them down little by little to 120 to 130 degrees. I think the last time we did it 128 or something like
We
that.
stuck this on this pan to help disperse the heat faster, rather than having it like on the table or here. And stirring it's going to help get rid of the heat too.
Right, right. Okay, so this is one of the parts that takes a little bit more time, is trying to get these liquids coming down at the same pace. And believe me, when I was watching Katie do this, and we were having our struggles, and we ended up with a failure just because we had such a hard time getting those.
Well, and we were all talking, so we may have made a mistake. with the-
Exactly.
different
It
things.
wasn't her fault. We
No,
were
she
trying
does this all the
something.
time.
We were trying something new too. We had
Oh, it was a different
frozen
oil.
she had frozen the goat's milk, and so that brought that temperature down pretty fast.
Real
But
fast.
then we had shea butter in with the coconut butter, and the shea butter melts slower than the coconut butter. So it was at a higher temperature, and then we were having the struggle of that, So anyway, what?
Yeah, I might need to go past
Well,
that.
we need it a little higher so that
Because
we
it-
can
it have to
bring
match
them
this
down
one.
at the same rate.
Oh, I thought you wanted this one going up.
Well,
yeah, we do.
it'll cool off by the
See what this
time.
one is.
Yeah, what we're trying to do is figure out
back
how
on, 'cause we
we
wanna
can
get
get them
close
both
to
down
this
at the
one.
same time. Okay, so while we're doing that, I am going to, well, I already told you about some of the benefits of homemade natural soap.
Want me to hold it in front of the
The process that we are using today
I just
is
need to
called the
get it.
cold process.
Let's get that up just a little bit more. Let's get that up to, I don't know,
Where did my,
140, 150.
It's called the cold
And
press
then we can-
process. That's what
gonna
we're
try to
doing
match it so
today.
it's going down almost at the
I
same
watched a
rate.
video today about the hot process. And what she did was she used basically the same stuff. She used the lye with it and everything, and then put it in
This isn't
a.
as exact, but it'll give you some idea. I'll still use the
Once she
digital to
combined
confirm,
them,
but
she
it'll
put
give you an
them
idea.
in
And
a
it's gonna be false because it's touching the bottom.
crock pot.
Thanks.
And you know, was stirring it, and I would have to watch it a lot more. We'll make sure that you have the YouTube address, you know,
link.
to be able to get that. But I thought, well, maybe the hot process would be easier and faster and whatever than what we're doing. And some people may think that. But I found out that with the hot process, some people say you can make it with lye. Katie said the hot process is made with 100% glycerin. You can use glycerin instead of the lye. But, okay, what did I hear about glycerin? Lye is probably the better way of doing it than glycerin. Glycerin, if you don't want lye, then glycerin will work. But there was something, and I can't remember all of a sudden what I read about that today. So,
But you can look it up on the internet.
yeah, please.
We're giving you some links.
That's one of the things, if you're going to get into soap making. And what I didn't tell you at first, why are we doing a demonstration on soap making? Well, it's because some people might be interested in it, but then when you get into it, you really need to know what's going on with it before you can decide whether you really want to do it or not,
Good.
you
We'll go
know,
up a little bit
because
more.
it can get pretty
Let's try again a little
expensive.
closer.
It can get complicated, you know. So you just have to, it's kind of nice to know. Now, I told Katie and Melody, I don't think I'll ever make it for myself. But after we finally got some good results and stuff like that, I'm like, you know, this is kind of fun, maybe. So I just might.
Once you figure out how to do it, yeah,
Right,
might as well
right.
do it.
Right. Okay. What I found
157.
out on this video was that with the hot process, you're
All right.
stirring it every so often and it really sets up in the crock pot, and you're stirring it and everything, and that is evaporating all the water. And when you evaporate all the water,
Okay, that was like 155.
then what
go ahead
goes
and take
with
that off.
it? Well, it doesn't go with it. It's already released. The water has already, the lye has already reacted with the
Yeah,
oils, okay?
we need to get it to come
And
under.
so now
So when
we're
we want it to hit
evaporating
close
the
to 120,
water
125.
with the cooking. So with
That's how
the
you like
hot
to have, like,
process,
get
you can
between
use the
120
soap the
and
next
and
day.
130.
But with the cold process like we're doing today, you
All right, so look
you'll
close.
see when we
And then
mix
I'm
the
gonna
two
just
liquids
try this
together,
for-
we will have to,
see.
Yeah, might not be
if
exactly.
it's
right.
and then we pour it into the mold. Then it'll sit in the refrigerator for 24 hours. But then we'll take it in 24 to 48, I think 72 even, hours, and then we take it out of the refrigerator,
That one's so slow
unmold
before
it,
accurately says it.
and you can cut it, but then
So
you
it
have
says
to
147 here.
stand it up on some kind of a thing in a well-ventilated area,
Going out.
because what you have to do, you have to cure it.
Yes, actually, I meant.
You have
sorry.
to allow
That's
the
what I did, yeah, I
water
just wasn't
that
thinking
is
about it.
in there, or the
And then we should
liquid
put
from the
that,
goat's milk.
on
You have to
something that's-
allow that
if this is
to
hot, we can't use it on that.
evaporate
You know if this is
4 to
cool or
6
hot.
weeks. So you have to cure it for
that's
4 to
good.
6 weeks.
cool enough?
So I can see the difference. The hot,
Because it'll affect it.
you can
That's sticking
stir
on
it
top
out, you know, you cook it in the crock pot or whatever, and it evaporates out. And then you can use it the next day.
Find a spot. When does that one
But
say?
this process, you cure it for 4 to 6 weeks. And some of the
this is
samples
still
that we
going on.
have that you will be able to take home have been cured
Almost 147.
for, I think it's about 6 weeks now.
We might be able to get
Katie
that over by
made
the
that
fan now.
before.
You want to do that?
So, okay, how is it going,
exactly.
ladies? Do you want to bring them over here, or are they at the point we can just put them right
We've got
here?
them close together now.
Okay,
But
why
I
don't
thought
you
if we
bring them
stick
over
it-
here?
If we stick it in front of the cooling, it'll continue to cool down here. Do you want to do that? In front of the fan?
Oh, to cool down? Yeah. Yeah, we're trying to use the fan to cool it down. What temp are we at now?
We're at like 140 something, well,
152.
150 something,
47.
147.
Okay, so that's about 5. We're within about 5.
This is good, yeah.
So what we're trying, and it will come down fairly quickly at this point. Okay,
it's going
so
under
we've
145
talked
now.
about
What
the
do you have?
hot process. I've talked about
150.
the curing and why you have to cure it.
Do you want me
Um,
to show them the foam thing real quick while you stir?
The what?
Do you want me to show them the
Oh,
foam
sure,
while
yeah.
you stir?
Okay, so
You'll want your gloves,
we're going to be,
because you're going to be using this to wipe that thing off.
Yep. Melody is going to show you how to make some foam soap in the meantime while we're trying to bring that down. I almost forgot about that. But we also have time while we're doing
Oh, you want to wait? Because we're getting close, so
okay.
what do you want to do?
Yeah, we should
Should
wait.
wait.
We should wait because once we
Okay.
put these together, we're going to have to whip them.
Yeah, we'll have
And
more
it
time.
can take about 15 minutes.
Yeah. How's it doing?
40, that one's going down more quickly.
Or is it? So it's probably more in there. I can move it out of the, I'll move it over here.
So what they're, like I said, they're trying to get that temperature down
All right, what do you have
to
there?
about,
42.
All right, I've got
to
142.2.
within 5 degrees of each other,
Now it's
but down to about
141.
130 or 128 or 125,
When
right
we
around
get
there.
close to 130, I'm going to switch this over and take a, try another temperature with this one.
Okay, I am going to go ahead and get started on, get this ready to go.
What do you have?
So, once they get that
138.
measured, or down,
So we're 4.
we are going to be pouring it into this thing.
138.1.
Something that's plastic. Well, one thing I forgot to say was do not use anything with aluminum.
141.
Has to be if
Okay.
stainless steel. I'm using my stick blender.
Martha, this is going to happen pretty fast soon. What are we pouring into what, and are we doing it over there?
Doing it here,
We're at
let's
137.
pour the oils in first,
Okay. Now what are you doing?
and bring a spatula
Okay.
with you.
140.
140, okay. I'm going to try to keep this from getting any.
Again, the lye you
Hopefully this
pour
will slow
into
down.
the oil. You don't want
Hot water
anything
over there,
that's
you can
going to
always
be
take a picture of the
That's
trying
true,
to,
I can do
the
that.
bottom picture in the water if it's cooling too fast.
So I'm at 136.
trying to,
I'm still
you
at
know,
140.
Are you?
explode or
Okay.
whatever, you know. Okay. So, what was I saying just before that? Oh, I was talking about stainless steel and aluminum. You don't want to use aluminum because that reacts with the lye and can really cause a real big reaction. So you don't want to use that. This is stainless steel. This works fine. Some of them have plastic up here. I
I'm at
don't know, that would
136.
be
What are you at?
a little bit hard to do.
Took it back up a little bit.
138.
And if I was able to find another one that I could dedicate to
going
just
to
soap making, if I
test
was doing
that.
soap making regularly, I would do that. But we've been able to clean it up okay, and you know. We did it the first time, Katie has done it with her blender. I think I like this better. We've had better results
Yeah.
with it. We've had better results. One other thing, you could do it in a small, that we did it in this picture,
133. What are you at?
Mine's
but we're using this bigger thing because it would be easier to see into it for you guys. But you could do it in this,
Okay.
but we also kind of thought when
Alright, let's
we
give it a
did one
minute.
in here and then we
Okay.
did one in here, and
I'll
we
give it a few
thought
seconds, see if it
this
settles
one
down.
might have
32.6.
gotten to the point we needed it to be a little bit faster because it cools down and, you know,
That's
whatever.
kind of holding right there right now.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm still at 138.
Oh, sorry.
What we're going to be trying to do, we're going to be mixing liquid with lye. Not liquid. We're going to be mixing oil with lye, okay? And so we have to emulsify it first. Emulsification is just oil and water
35.
mixing up together, you know.
I've got,
And then
it was
we're going to
135,
be
now it's
trying to get
133,
it
so that's
to
why
a
I moved
point
it.
of what they call
Like
soapification.
133,
The
it's going up.
soapification point is where it's starting to get a little bit thicker, and you can see a trace. They call it a trace, and that would be it'd be like with cake batter, how you know you
133,
mix
it's
it all
holding
up and,
there.
and you put the
What do you
spoon
have?
around it. You swirl the spoon around, and you can see
Okay.
a little trace there. That's sort of what you can have. But what we also have found that once you get that trace,
It's going
then
down
it
a little bit when I
starts
stir.
thickening pretty quickly. So you need
Tell me
to
when it hits 130.
be
if you
ready
would.
to move
or
quickly on
131.
everything. Which, you know what we didn't
don't-
do?
I'm
We didn't
131 right now.
measure. We didn't measure the
31.
lavender oil. Oh, this is one thing I haven't talked to you about, how you can customize your soaps. One is what kind of
Okay, I'm at
oils are you
130.6.
using
You
for
don't have that, but I will-
moisturizing, okay? Some people might react better to shea butter.
Are you at-
There's mango butter
What,
you
you're at
could
130?
use. You could, you know,
when it
whatever
goes down
kinds
1 or 2
of
degrees, then I'm going to check
fat,
that one. And
um,
hopefully we'll be able to.
Can we turn her down, maybe? There's different kinds of fat that you can use, and
120.
you know, different people react different ways on their skin. So you can customize with what types of fat you use. I talked about the castor oil.
Holding.
This recipe calls, although we're not using the castor oil, we just chose to use the olive oil because that worked for us. But I would try it again with the castor oil, and that's supposed to give you more of a lather.
125.
You can use different
It's going
kinds
up,
of
126.
essential oils.
I'm still at 125.
Eucalyptus oil is a
Takes it
good
like 5
one.
seconds.
We've
It's
chosen to
126
use
and
lavender
holding.
because that's what we were
All right.
familiar
We could
with
probably do it
right now.
anytime. Let me just double check this one.
But I saw one lady put some green coloring into it and then used eucalyptus oil, you know. So you can, we're doing really a basic soap, but you
I think
can
we're ready.
do all kinds of stuff. And when we get to the point of putting it in the
Okay, bring that
um,
over if you would.
mold, you can do all kinds of stuff with that
Okay,
too.
we are
You
within
can
2 to 3 degrees. So
within
we're 126, 128.
126 and 128. So we're going to put the oil in here.
It's going to cool off a
And
little
that's a very good way of doing it, is using, and when you pour into the thing, use a spoon or a spatula. Okay, yeah.
And I'll
To
trade-
pour it
I'll
against
trade you.
is a good thing to do because it has less splashing. So
And you're gonna get that going real
yes.
quick.
So we're going to start on this, try and get emulsified. And can you measure the lavender
Yes,
for
I
us?
can. What is it supposed to be?
Okay.
I can look.
7.
Go ahead. You'll want to have your hands probably gloved. 'Cause that can harm your skin. There are gloves right there.
Melody's going to measure that, and then I'm going to probably take this over there a little bit so that you guys can,
Is it 30 grams?
and I'm not on the thing. I'm going to take this over there so that you can hear her while she is demonstrating the other, what was it, foaming soap?
Hand soap.
Foaming hand soap, and then I'll bring it back over here so you can see it.
Is it 30 grams? This is lavender oil.
Yeah, 30 grams. I'll just show you, this is more emulsified now,
That's looking
but
pretty good.
it's not at a trace by any means. You basically want it to look like cake batter, or just before that.
Once it traces is when you're going to put this in. So you have to wait. She has it. We figured out 7 teaspoons, so you can put that beside it. It's just that whatever measurement you use, if you use ounces or grams or teaspoons or tablespoons, just make it consistent. It can be picky. Oh, okay. Okay, so is my mic on? All right. So I'm sure you've seen these like at Bed Bath & Beyond. So you can hit the seasonal sale like my sister-in-law does. And this is a nice Christmas present because it's a consumable. And then what I like to do is these are foam, this cap here will foam it. And you can refill it yourself. It's a very fast, quick recipe. So. All right, so if you turn to like the 3rd page, I think it is, it has a recipe. Okay, so you're going to start out by filling it within an inch of the top, or it could be like a 3/4 cup, but I just like to do like an inch from the top, which is about where the shoulders come in. And this is distilled water. I have well water, and I have used that. You can use it, but I think it makes this have to be cleaned more often. I think it gums it up. So if you ever need to, when you want to, let's just say it's getting sticky and not working as well for you, you can, after you're done with your soap, you can empty it and put it in hot soapy water. or just hot water. And it helps melt the soap, get rid of the residue, and rinse it out. Can you see it coming up? So it's about, I just like doing distilled water. If you want to do regular water too, they recommend that you boil it. So, okay, so here we are. I've just brought it up to the shoulder here. And then it's just 2 tablespoons of cast steel soap. I get the big one because I use it for gardening stuff too. But you can just get this at Amazon. And to make it simple, because that will squirt, I just put in here so I can use a tablespoon. And then I just do a tablespoon, 1 tablespoon. You know, once you get used to it, you could just kind of eyeball it, but you don't want too much. All right, and then you choose a fragrance that you enjoy, and I just chose Cherry Blossom essential oil. And you see how many drops it recommends there? 7 to 10. I just do 10 because I like it, but you don't have to. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I like to put a little bit of light oil in there. You can use a lighter oil than this, but this argan has a really good, it's really good for the skin. So there's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got it kind of high. I hope I didn't get it too high. Yep, I did. So I got a little bit too high. It's a little bit harder for me to see where exactly the shoulders are in here. But it's usually not too picky, as long as you don't really overdo the soap. And then now you can do color too, or you can get them like where you can't see through them. So find ones that you like that you know will, some do better than others. If you get a real clear one, it looks older faster. So I wouldn't shake it. If you're wanting to get it mixed a little bit, it mixes pretty well. Oh, I probably didn't leave enough space. They did say not to make it super tight. There we are. Now, if you were to test this, it's a nice creamy lather, and it's really comfortable on the skin. That light oil, it doesn't feel oily, but it's a nice, kind of a nourishing feel to it. And you're welcome to try it if you'd like. I was reading about it, and some people like to use that like a bath. They just use it in their bath. So it doesn't just have to be your hands. Yeah, I'm just cleaning up. Do you have any questions? So it's pretty fast, isn't it? How's it doing?
You want me to move over there so you can see?
Yep. Do you think the temperature's? Yep. You can use other oils too. And then there's this when you're ready.
One thing I wanted to say is that you want to get a trace. If you, the first time we had it, and of course we were way down to 100 degrees or even 90, and we were having trouble before we got them at the same. We had put ice cubes in with the lye. Goat's milk, ice cubes, and water in with the lye. And it brought it down so fast that the oils weren't coming down fast enough. And then we were down to about 90 degrees, I think, before we put them all together.
Did you tell them why we did the ice cube, why we tried that?
Yeah, and then it just we didn't get that trace, and then it all separated. And I'll show you in a little bit the result. It's in the freezer. It's pretty thick.
I think I can get other places, but it's a fast rate.
It's pretty thick, but it's just not quite at that cake batter thing that I want, okay?
It doesn't have to be the big thing.
And you can kind of see the bubbles going in a circle, but that's not exactly the trace I want. The first time we got the trace, it took us 20 minutes of this. No,
Yeah,
the
this
second
is how-
time.
this
The
is how
second
we
time
learned
it
so this
really
will be
went
last,
wrong.
And one of us can judge will do it.
So it does take some time, but we're doing pretty good. What have we been doing it about 12 minutes or so?
That sounds
12
about
or
right.
15? And we found out in watching more videos that we didn't have to have it quite as thick as we thought, as we tried to reach the last time.
Kind of like cake batter, right?
Yeah, I like cake batter, but it's getting a little bit thicker.
Sometimes it thickens really fast.
Yeah, once it starts to thicken, then it really goes fast, and that's why you want to have this ready. As soon as it gets to have that slight trace, then we are going to put in the lavender oil, the essential oil. And that'll give it the, I want to say flavor, no, the scent. And actually, when we get to that point, that trace point, we'll pour it right in there after we do the lavender oil. We'll pour it right in there. And then we have, where are they? They're right over there. We have some lavender buds that Katie had given us that we can sprinkle over. Oh, do you want to put a little bit of?
No, I was gonna I forgot to tell you with the foaming salt, if you want to color it, of course you can. I just use like a food coloring. It can be fun.
And this stuff, if we had had something, we could have put some purple color in it, but show them the ones that we did.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Are those the ones we did, or those are the ones we're
Yeah.
giving out?
This is the one that she did. So this one is the one we're going to give you tonight. It's been about 6 weeks, and you want close to 4 to 6 weeks. I would go longer, because there's a chemical reaction, and as it transforms itself into soap, the lye disappears, and you want to give it plenty of time to do that. This one was just done last week, so you don't want to handle this with your hands. If you handle lye with your hands, it can burn. So, but this is what it looks like, and we put the lavender sprinkled on top. So, and you can use a cutter that makes it kind of like this. It's kind of a pretty color. If you want it lighter, then they said that you can use that ice. I mean, you can freeze the goat milk. Yeah, what I did is I put this, you want to put this, yeah, you want to put it in a well-ventilated place. I stick it in my basement area where nobody's hanging around, no kids, no pets. And by the way, when you do this, you don't really want to have kids and pets around because for obvious reasons, it can, be a mess under feet and getting hands into things. So, but and then it just sits on the counter. So basically, what happens is, are you going to talk about the steps after you pour it in the mold and what you do next?
Oh, yeah. Do you want to talk about it?
I can.
Yeah.
Want me to? Okay. So once it gets poured in the mold, we're going to bang it a little bit to get it flat, because you want it flat. And then if you want to put anything nice on it, decorative and pretty, there are little dried flowers you can do, or this you can do a little lavender like this. You could color the soap too if you want to. Some people play around with patterns like they do with coffee. And then you put it in, you cover it with saran wrap, kind of like an insulator. And then you can put it in a refrigerator. I have a little cooler that I use so I don't make the rest of my refrigerator hot. So I let it cool down a little bit on the counter, and then I put it in the refrigerator. And it'll be covered with saran wrap. And in about 24 hours, you can take it out. At that point, you check it. It should be firm enough. There's some ways you can check it. This is a silicone mold, you see? You don't have to buy one of these. You can do it yourself with wax paper.
Face that way a little bit too.
What's that?
Face that way a little bit too.
So
When you're talking.
you can cut like parchment paper. You cut it across. If you've got a box that has a shape that you think that'll fit into, so a cardboard box that doesn't have a hole in it, you'll just put the wax paper over, make sure it goes all the way down the bottom, tape it. Make sure your edges are tight, okay? And then you're going to do it the other way too. So there'll be a little bit of a hole, but it's not significant, and this is thick enough that it's not going to seep out.
Yeah, just don't put it in aluminum pan at all. Even with parchment paper, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah. So and then you're going to cover it with saran wrap, and then you can refrigerate it. So you can do your own, or you could do something like this. It comes right out of this. So what I did, once we poured it in, and I actually forgot about it for 3 days in the refrigerator, and that was fine. So I took it out, I let it kind of warm up to room temperature, and then I did the cutting. So essentially, you would take it out of here, and you would kind of do this to it, so it'll see if it separates, nicely, and it'll stay firm like that. When it's like that, then you know it's okay to take it out. I put gloves on still. You don't have to have these on. This was important in case it splashed. But once that's done, it's not as big of a deal. Just gloves because it's still got lye in it, converting, just not as much. And there's a chance it could irritate your skin. So I usually put like something on the counter that's covered. You could put parchment paper, or you could put paper towels, stuff like that. And then you put it down, and then you can take one of these, and you're just going to cut through it like that, firmly. It's, soap. Or you can use this, which makes the edge a little prettier.
It cuts like butter, though.
It does.
Like harder butter, you know, if you're...
So I find a straight part, and however thick you want your soap, and you go straight down until you've got them all. And then I put them in, you can put it in a cardboard box if you want to store it, and I separate them a little bit like that, and upright in their final resting place on a counter in my basement, just where it's out of the way of animals and children. And then it's supposed to just sit there for like 4 to 6 weeks. So
that's one thing we didn't mention when this whole process we've been doing here, best without animals and children. Because if something comes and dumps something over. Let me show you real quick if you want.
let me get out of the way.
You see how it makes a little dent in there? Can you see that little dent when the drop falls in? It's getting
Sometimes
there. What
it's
do you
more. Are you seeing any
think? I
separation?
think just a little more.
And she almost sounded like it doesn't have to be super thick as long as you're not seeing any separation, and you just want to make sure it's completely blended in.
Right, and with the experience that we had, we want to see
We do it extra.
Yeah, just a little extra. We want. Okay, so I told you that soapification, S-O-P-A, soapification. I was reading the history of soap making and how I said it dripped with lye. I think the place SOPA was, I believe it was the place that happened or something like that. So that's apparently where our our word soap comes from too, you know. And that's where the word soapification comes from. That's the combining, you know, combining it at the rate that would make it gel.
It has to come together. It has to bond.
Yeah. And you can tell, like how I said, they first discovered it was, you know, like whether in a cave, I don't know that it was a cave, but somewhere, you know, that had something that it fell on, and then underneath there was some kind of a fat of some sort, and it formed that soap that they found that, it cleans us pretty well, you know, and so it was pretty interesting. In fact, it was, if you look up the history of soap, and it was in the New York Times, and it was, I wrote it down.
You know what? I could do that, and then you could talk. You want me to do that?
Okay.
While you talk? Yeah. You could take my mic off if you want.
It was April 15, 2020 by Don Keppel, Koeppel. That was how I found that information. So it was kind of interesting. And we are just, I know, this is one thing that we learned. It takes patience. It takes patience. But we are so close, and all of a sudden it happens. How many times? We've been close to 20 minutes, I think, now. How is it going?
Well, last time we got a little bit tired of doing it. We just sat it for a while. And,
Yeah.
and it kind of started
Yes
getting
and
thick on
no.
its own, too. One of the times we did it.
Yeah. But you see how it really looks creamy, you know, that it's really, it's just right there at that stage. And we're just waiting to put in the essential oil scent. We can check it.
That's a great question. Do you have any other questions? Because I can give the blender a pause and just mix it by hand too.
Yeah, and the lady that I was watching, she said, I tried whipping it by hand one time. It takes 3 to 5 hours. Was there another question?
Debbie, what was your question?
Yeah, for exfoliation, you can use sand, like sifted deep sand. Is that something you can mix in with a cold mix, or would you do that with a hot?
I don't know for sure.
I'm not sure if I would use
That's
sand.
a good
It
thing
might be
to look
something-
at. We're at 123. So it really hasn't, and especially if you think we're blending it, you know, it hasn't cooled off at all. It'd be like your blender, well, a Vitamix blender, you know,
Sometimes it heats it up.
can heat it up. Yeah.
Yeah, what was
Richard?
your question?
your question?
Would it hurt if you used a stand mixer to mix it with?
A stand mixer, I don't think would go fast enough.
Probably
Well,
not.
I guess it would. You'd have to have it on a really good whip, and
Yeah, that might be dangerous too.
yeah, it would
You
splash.
don't want it splattering on
What
you.
were you saying, Don?
Could be a 2 or 3 hour thing too.
Yeah, that could take quite a bit
One
of
thing
time.
that's nice about this is notice how far down it is in here. You can do this too, and that helps decrease the splash factor too.
You see, it's making bubbles that come up. Can you see that? Not exactly. Tip it slightly. It's making bubbles that are coming up and popping. That means that it's. Oh, I think it's right there.
It's probably close to good now.
I don't know. Well,
From
okay.
what she said-
But
what
didn't you
she
see
s-
those bubbles
Yeah,
are so slow coming up and so slow popping?
Um,
I'm off.
I would say.
Yeah, let's
I
go
think
with
it's-
the.
I think
Let's
it's
go
probably
with that.
good. Because she said that you could even do it with, very light. It didn't have to be much.
Yeah, see those bubbles, they just come up and they don't want to pop quite, and so that shows me that it's pretty much right there. Now, we had some people ask if we were going to, everybody, how much it would cost, would each person be able to get this done? You can see why we're going, no, this is only a demonstration.
Can I get a napkin or a couple of napkins, paper towels? Maybe a spatula too.
Do you have the, whatchamacallit, the silicone scraper here?
Oh,
Here we
that's
go.
a good idea.
Here we go. Thank you, Ruth Ann. Thank you, thank you.
Where you at?
And you kind of, depending on how, this is more liquid. If it's a little bit heavier, thicker, then you would want to go back and forth and make sure that it was, got it?
Does this refrigerate then?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you'd refrigerate it.
I mean, it cooled off quite a bit on my counter before I refrigerated it, but
Well, and last
how
time
are
we
you?
did it, we had it pretty soft, and we were trying to get out of here pretty quick when we did it.
right.
And by the time we left, it was thick enough that it didn't.
You see the bubbles?
Oh, sorry.
This way.
Yeah, it's a good thing to kind of tap it. It's kind of like you level a cake before you bake it, if you want a flat cake.
Once we get that down, then you can sprinkle stuff on.
Yeah.
So the bubbles are getting smaller. You just have to be careful not to do too vigorous because it can splat you.
That looks pretty good.
Maybe this will be better.
And that just makes it so you don't have all the bubbles inside.
It's a smoother product. See how nice and smooth this is? Can you see the edge? That still looks more bubbly than it does to me.
I wouldn't worry too much about it. It really doesn't.
How did it go from orange to the white?
It did that when it cured, so
Colors and it changed color?
that's what it seemed to do because it was quite orange when we
Why
had it.
is this lighter than that? Yeah, as it cures, it'll get lighter apparently. It's what we've seen. Yeah. And some people, they get really fancy and you can put different colors in, and as you whip it up and stuff, the top might look a little bit lighter than the bottom and stuff. Oh, they come up with all kinds of stuff that they do. we're doing just, and the thing is also, if we waited a little bit longer, that it would be even thicker, but we're gonna be okay. But if we waited a little longer, that it would be thicker, you can kind of swirl it up and stuff like that, you know, to make the top have some texture to it, you know. I will show you our first one.
But you learn something with it, even the ones that don't turn out.
When we did that first one and it just didn't get that soapification, we didn't get it that thick at all. But we went ahead and tried it. And then what happened was I took it out of the mold in 24 hours, and it looked pretty good, except you could see yellow down here. Remember, we had used shea butter on that one, and coconut oil. But you could see more of a tan lower part and a light yellow upper part. I'm like, oh boy, okay. So I cut it and I sat it up on cardboard. Well, in fact, I didn't know I had to have it standing up. And I had it laying down, and I called Katie and I said, or I texted her a picture. I said, see, here it is, you know. And she said, oh, you have to have it standing up. Okay, so I go and I stand it up. And then it was kind of soft, so I had to take a pancake, turn her, you know, stand it up. And I had it in a cool place, you know. And I mean, this was within minutes. I mean, less than 5 minutes. I'm looking at it and it's starting to, it was melting. It was like, and it was a cool place, but so here it is.
And we saved it because we figured once we know a little bit more, maybe we can figure out how to way to get it to go back.
Yeah, Katie said, hey, when she gets back, she wants to experiment with it, because we were looking stuff up, and she said, you know, they say that you can use it as the
reconstituted or something.
base, or you know, the beginning of another batch or something. It's solid because it came out of the freezer.
You know,
It won't stay solid long.
certain fats stay solid at room temperature too. So,
Yeah.
or I mean, when they're refrigerated.
But-
Go
ahead.
I wanted to just to say, I mean, I did this a difficult way. If I had had time, if I had been at home, I would have stuck it in soapy water, and that would have cleaned that. And they also said, be careful to let people know not to use your dishwasher for your dishes.
Yeah.
Remember, it's still got that lye in it, and so it's better to wipe them out with a paper towel and toss it, and then you'll use soapy water, hot soapy water,
Yeah.
to clean the rest, so you don't have too much going down your.
So does anybody have any other questions? I hope it's been helpful. I mean, you know, at least you know a little bit more about soap making,
So,
and
you got your gloves out
you
there.
know how
Thank you.
it really
Let me
is
get this-
more
As much
helpful.
of this as I can get.
Mike, can you turn
Sorry.
your mom's mic off, please?
And you feel free. Oh, you're using darn good.
Turn her microphone on. Yes, Richard.
Is it safe to use the heat off the fish without being burned?
To use your what?
Is it safe to eat off the
Oh, yeah.
fish without being burned?
Yes, because you've taken most everything off, and with a paper towel, then you've washed in really hot soapy water, okay, sudsy water, and remember, the lye is just takes the water. Once it's dry, there's nothing. The lye has already made that work, you know, had the chemical reaction with that. As it
converts.
Right, right.
Did you finish what you want? I was going to say one other thing about safety. I would definitely treat it very carefully when you're handling the lye. If you have to go between gloves when you're touching other things that that are not lye related, and try to keep them in one place. What I wanted to do, but I didn't have time, was just have a a place where I could put everything that had touched lye. and then when you wash it, you wipe it out, and then you have a container of soapy water over here, and then you can just dump stuff right into it. And then that hot water is going to melt the fat. And you put dial in there, and it'll break up the fat. And then it's pretty easy to clean. So, and then you rinse in hot water. Then it should be back to normal. You just have to watch out with something like that has blades on the back side. If it thickens on it before you get to it, I would definitely bzz in water, because you want to get the underside if you can't. You can't reach it very well by hand. So.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming. Let's have a word of prayer. Dear Father in heaven, we thank you that for the safety and for the success of this. I just pray that you will give us each wisdom. Is this something you want us to do or what? Thank you for all the creation and all the chemical reactions and things that you have created for us that have helped. And we give you all praise and glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
So I'm going to put these are cured. This has been 6 weeks. This is not. So I'll put a bunch of them here, and if you'd like to take one home and try it, you can.
Yeah, we're giving you all a cured piece, so you don't have to worry about it. You have more there? Okay. And thank you so much for coming. This is getting a little thicker.